Hello everyone, I'm Arman Amcalar. I work at UNU GmbH, UNU Motors. I have a question. There's a scooter downstairs in the courtyard. Is it? Anybody's here? There. Yay. I'm proud of you. It's one of our scooters. All right, before I start, because it looks like it's the common practice, I'd like to ask you a question. How many types of motivations do we have? Do you know? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many types of motivations? 2. Any other answers? 2. 2. Okay. Oh, 3. All right. Can you tell me what they are?
Professional, personal, and spiritual.
Professional, personal,
Spiritual.
All right. That's actually pretty close to what I would like to say. I'd like to say is there are 2 types of motivations. One is intrinsic motivation, and the other one is extrinsic motivation. And your whole success as HR in employee retention is actually rooted in this definition of actually intrinsic motivation. But we'll get to there. So, I am working as head of software engineering at UNU GmbH, and we are basically producing electric scooters. We are a urban mobility solutions company, and I run the software teams there. We have various software teams from embedded engineering to backend to front end to mobile apps, basically every part of software you can ever think of. And I'm pretty much a coder. I'm pretty active in the open source community, which might not be very much interesting to you, but it's usually pretty interesting to techies. So there is one key takeaway from this talk today, and that is a quote. Basically, you don't hire employees. Actually, employees hire you. You even pay them money to spend their time with you and your company, so you're actually the servant. They are not serving you, they are not serving your company, but you are serving the employees. And that's always been that case with, with technology in particular. So we have to keep this in mind. So the problem that I want to tackle today, that I want to talk about today, is that the turnover rates are too high in technology companies, and average employee tenure is actually pretty short. Do you have any figures in your mind about employee tenure? Like, what is the average time a tech employee spends at your company? 1.5 years, 2 years. Yeah, the industry average is about 11 months. So yeah, that's right there. The industry average is about 11 months. If you're doing more than that, you're doing great. If it's about that number, actually something is pretty wrong. And the average turnover rates are extremely increasing. It's now about 20% yearly. So you lose 20% of your tech employees every year, and you have to replace them, which means you have to replace the whole team every couple of years, which is a huge change that everybody has to manage and tackle. So this is the problem. And we have to first understand why it happens to be able to solve that problem. So why do tech employees leave the company? And that tenure is shorter with respect to other people, like finance people, legal people, marketing people. They sometimes stay at a company longer, and tech employees are quick to leave a company. And why does that happen? That's the biggest question that we have to tackle. So probably there are only a very few improvement opportunities in the team that you're giving them. And I'm not only talking about budgets that you can allocate to people, but how you can grow them in the team. You're probably giving them repetitive tasks and daily chores that they have to figure out and that they have to work all day long, all year long. Like, they're doing the same thing over and over again. They are assigned some bugs, and they are expected to solve bugs as if they are machines, whereas actually they are humans, and everybody would be really bored with that job, especially digital natives of our era. So probably the team structure is bad and they are not satisfied with it, and they just don't come out and talk to you about it. Probably there might be unfair hierarchy in the team, and since techies or tech employees are renowned for their their attitude that they know stuff, if they sense that anybody in the hierarchy chain knows less, then they get pissed off and it actually builds up, and then in the end they leave. The team spirit, even if you're a corporate, you have to have a synergy in the team, a spirit in the team. And usually, of course, again, that's unfortunately not the case. One of the most important topics where they draw the line is their disbelief in change. So they write code, they change stuff every day, and they expect to change their environment as well. But they need the chances to do so. If you don't give them the chance to change the environment, the work environment, then they're like, okay, like there's nothing in this for me anymore. They don't believe that they can be impactful to the company. And probably one of the biggest problems is actually with it's money. So the salary, you have to pay them what they would get when today they leave your company and go to your competitor. You have to give them that much salary in order to retain them, unfortunately. So, these are the possible... Okay. These are the possible reasons for why employees might be leaving your company. And then, how can we tackle the problem? Now, I'm a technical person. I've built teams all my life. I've scaled teams. I've trained teams from scratch. And my perspective is from the technical side. What I see is companies need to hire or grow, invest and grow, strong leaders. Your technical employees, the first employees that you get if you're starting from scratch or if you're an established company, the people at the helm, they have to be very strong leaders. Invest in their leadership abilities. Grow them if you can, because that's the only way this thing will work out. That's the only way you can survive. So once you get strong leaders at the top, and you cannot compromise on this, once you get the strong leaders on the top, what you can do is to look for the right people to hire. And unfortunately, you're not looking for an employee's ability to write code, or you're not looking for an employee's ability to deliver a software product. No, it will come eventually. What you're looking for is actually a hunger in an employee to grow, to improve themselves. So if you have strong leaders, if you have a culture where you can teach people technical abilities, and it's actually very, very, very simple. Just look at the rising of your employees, like before you hire them. They have a CV that's going up and up and up in positions and in technical competencies. So they will grow, they will learn anyway. You're not looking for people who can write code. You're looking for people who are hungry for change, for improvement, for growth. And if you can find those people who have the right basis to learn, then most of your problems are actually solved. And what you're also looking for is a search for purpose. This is mostly present in junior people, in junior engineers. They are looking for the purpose of their lives. Like, why am I on this earth, on this world? What is my purpose? What do I want to do? If you can find those people, and I know it's extremely rare and hard, but if you find those people, they stay with you forever, as long as you give them a purpose. That's because that's what they are looking for. And obviously, in your interviews, in your technical interviews, I don't know how many of you do whiteboard interviews, like ask people to write code in a whiteboard in a technical interview. Nobody? That's pretty good. So, who knows the details of the technical interview at the company? Okay, that's probably it. All right. you have to know this. You have to know how people hire tech employees in your company. Please, after this talk, tomorrow, go to your hiring managers and ask them how they do the interviews. That is the one major thing that you can eliminate all these problems with turnover and tenure, and that's one thing you can optimize. Probably most of them are doing whiteboard interviews where they ask candidates to write code on a whiteboard before a whiteboard, or extremely technical textbook computer science challenges to see if they can actually code. And that's a terrible, terrible way of hiring people or choosing which people you want to hire. Again, you're looking for a purpose. You're looking for a void that you know you can fill in an employee. So the bottom line is, it's all about extrinsic motivation versus intrinsic motivation. Most of the stuff that can you actually hear me while this thing is going on? Perfect. Most of the stuff that we talked about today are actually sources of extrinsic motivation. You can, you can give people more salary. You can give people some budgets for personal growth. You can have a perfect feedback culture at the company, and they can talk about their problems, etc. And I don't know, you can have team events. You can have team culture events where you send people together to trips, to Disneyland, whatever. These are all extrinsic motivation factors where you introduce another thing and expect that thing to motivate your employees. And it will never work because it will just fade away. The moment it ends, it will start fading, and believe me, those instantaneous motivation factors fade away really quickly. What you need is to build intrinsic motivation. An employee has to have a purpose to come to work every day, to work for you every day. You have to find ways to build that motivation. They have to feel like, yes, I'm actually very lucky to be working at this company. I learn so much. I get so much value out of this. Again, you are not hiring people. The employees are actually hiring you. They choose you for their next 2-3 years, and they choose to spend their life with you. So they will stay as long as they get value out of it, and that value you cannot determine. Every employee will find that value, that unique value themselves, and it will change from people to people. Like, for example, at UNU, some people are like, I love urban mobility. I love a clean energy solution because this is an electric vehicle with zero emission. Some people are just hyped about clean energy, like green stuff. And they come to work every day because they deliver a product to the market that satisfies this. Others are like, I want to change people's lives, at least when they're commuting, which is the most boring stuff of your day anyway. So every employee has a different purpose in life. Some people are like, I want to grow myself technically, and this is the perfect platform to do so because it aligns well with my career goals. So you have to find that intrinsic motivator. You have to design a framework for success. You have to give people a purpose, again, to come to work. And you have to drive them with a clear vision, and only their managers, the people that they're in contact with, can do this. And your middle management or your higher management has to have an ethical code, and they have to live by it. Like growing employees, being equals, destroying hierarchy, investing in people, and being open, being transparent. If these are your values and your management team don't adhere to these values, it will not work. And in the end, you have to answer two questions. Why should the employees work for you? What do you give them? What is your unique value proposition to the employees? Because this is the only thing that you can keep your employees. So we have some best practices for you. You have to start investing your team members from day one. You have to grow them, coach them, mentor them internally from day one. They have to see that they will get value out of this. You have to build up personal connections and trust, and this is not a management problem. This is a human problem. So your technical managers should be well versed in communication skills, in personal interactions, and they have to do this, otherwise it won't work. You have to listen to your team members. That's why we're here today with feedback platforms. And you have to delegate the responsibilities. Let people take the decisions. You can always correct them. Find subtle ways of correcting them instead of giving them direct orders. Let them take responsibility. And in the end it will happen. An employee, a technical employee, will get bored with whatever they are doing. You have to have the right mechanisms to change their position within the team to rekindle that flame in them, like to rekindle that purpose for why they are working for you. I don't know if we have time, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Probably 5 more minutes.
All right. So I come from a background where we built a repeatable success in tech teams, technology teams, in software teams, and maybe I can talk a little bit about that. So 6 years ago, with my company, we had a big problem. We had a huge problem, actually. We were a software development house. We were producing software for enterprises, for big companies in Turkey. And we had to find quality engineers who would stick with us for a very long time, because they are enterprise projects. You cannot hand them over to, random coders that you hire every day. So we had to come up with a scalable team management and team building system. What we did was, we didn't have, unfortunately, and I really love that thing, but we didn't have employee improvement budgets per employee. But what we did was, we set aside a huge portion of our time, 3 months every year, to organize free code camps, which are actually very popular now, but they weren't there 6 years ago in 2011. And we took in fresh graduates out of college, knows nothing in the industry, a clean slate that you can work with. That's perfect, that's what you want. And they are ready to prove themselves, some of them, and those are the ones who you want to work with. So we had 2 huge enterprise projects waiting for engineers. What we did was, we grew our own engineers. We first trained the team, the technical team within the company, who were already senior developers, in becoming leaders and teaching others how to code and the technology. Because believe me, this is the easiest part. Teaching a person how to code is the easiest part in this equation that you can solve. Believe this and do this. Even the simplest coder, the most junior coder, can teach a person how to code if you give them the right tools. So basically, we took in people for 3 months, trained them on code, 30 engineers free of charge, and then at the end we offered 10 of them contracts, and we placed them in our enterprise projects. Now, before that, our average was also 11 months, the industry average. And after this move, at the end of 3 years, it was more than 20 months, the employee tenure, which is kind of a twofold increase. What happened was, the students of the first year actually became the instructors of the 3rd year code camp. So they grew themselves. They were still at the company for the 3rd year, and they were very, very proud to be teaching other people, to give other people purpose. And actually now, after 5 years, the first graduates of the program are now having their own companies, their own startups, and they are implementing this free code camps and this scheme in their own companies. And actually this has been a change that started to grow and is still growing. It's an amazing opportunity for us and a huge honor to see this happening. People are taking this on, and this is a repeatable, scalable success that the first people who learned to code 6 years ago or 5 years ago have companies right now, and they are implementing this. What I want to say is, invest in your employees. You won't lose anything, but you'll gain a world, and this will be a scalable culture in your company. Just invest a huge amount of time set aside from your projects, from your real business, and they will grow. And the most important thing is we introduced a software apprenticeship model. How many of you know what software apprenticeship or software craftsmanship is? Okay, 1. 2, are you in HR? Are you an HR person?
I work in recruiting.
Okay.
My previous company was very big on software craftsmanship.
All right, so you're from Clue and you're working in recruiting and your previous company was full about software craftsmanship. So please look into what this is. It's a whole different educational model and work mode you can introduce in your companies to make sure that your current employees will train your next employees. That is how you build success. It's all in software craftsmanship. And yes, team members will stay as long as they benefit from you. You are bound to deliver value to them. And that's the end of my talk. Thank you.